Crooked politician Joseph Lowry owns a news network called Lowry's News Network, exposing crooked politicians. Does that sound funny to anybody else?
With his toxic words and actions, he has slandered, defamed, and lied on countless elected officials and citizens. False police reports he makes against persons, but yet he is never charged by local PD. Councilman Joseph Lowry seems to be untouchable.
Now, legal and ethical issues. An elected official running a news site must operate with strict boundaries to avoid legal trouble and maintain the public trust. Conflict of interest. A politician operating a news outlet, particularly one focusing on corruption, creates an inherent conflict of interest. The public could question whether the reporting is based on journalistic merit or political motivation, such as targeting rivals or promoting the official's own agenda. In many government positions, officials are required to disclose financial interests to manage potential conflicts. The question is his reporting based on journalistic merit or political motivations, such as targeting rivals or promoting the official's own agenda? Well, let's see what the website looks like. Just type in Lowry's News Network here, okay? Here, Joseph has titled this Policy Violation, Violation of Lamarck Charter, Keith Bell, September 16, 2025, Fraud Mayor Exposed. So we continue down and we see what appears to look like evidence of some sort of a policy violation, right? And so Joseph reports, the truth is finally catching up with Mayor Bell in his own divorce pleadings. His wife admits that he hasn't lived in Lamarck since February of 2023. That means that Bell ran his campaign for mayor and was already living in Houston with no intention of moving back to Lamarck, says Joseph Lowry. Now, Joseph Lowry thinks that he can tell Mayor Bell's intention, right? But he also goes on to say, we now have proof, a copy of the Houston lease agreements and payments that confirm exactly what his wife stated. Keith Bell has lied to the people of Lamarck, broken the city charter, and continues to falsely claim residency that hasn't existed in years, says Joseph Lowry. Now, let's continue on. Then Joseph makes his allegations. It clearly states his allegations. This is fraud. This is corruption. And this is a violation of our city charter and cannot be ignored, Joseph says. And I agree with Joseph. It cannot be ignored. So let's not ignore this, right? Let's see if it's fraud, corruption, and a violation of the city charter. They've confirmed that this is fraud and this is corruption. And by this, I mean the website that you're looking at that Joseph Lowry runs. Now, let's see the other allegation of Mayor Bell violating the city charter. Let's see. So it says mayor and council. So that's like black and blue. There's two different things, black and blue or mayor and council. Now, it says at the time of each election, each council member shall be qualified voter of the city of Lamarck and shall hold no other elective public office nor be an employee of the city or agency of that city. Each city council member elected to represent a district shall have been domiciled and a resident of the city for a period not less than 1 year immediately preceding the council member's election. Okay, those are council members, not talking about the mayor. And preceding means living in or domiciled for a year of residency before the election. So if he wasn't living there at the time of the election, that's totally okay. And they're not even talking about the mayor. They're just talking about city council members. See how it says city council? Each city council member elected to represent a district. They're not talking about the mayor. It says, if a council member shall cease to possess any of these qualifications or shall be convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, the office of that council member shall immediately become vacant. Council member, not mayor. This is the mayor and council member. They're speaking of the council members. You understand that, Joseph? Council member Larry is a public office. Okay, so you can tell because right here it says each council member shall be qualified voter of the city of Lamarck and shall hold no other elective public office nor be an employee, blah, blah, blah. So that's how you can tell that a council member is a holder of public office, right? Okay. You could possibly say that you might have accidentally said those things as an opinion, but you typed them all the way out, and you actually said the facts are clear, right? So you're literally saying these are all facts. Okay, let's look at the facts. Does the mayor have to live in the city, or is the mayor a state office holder? One word, meaning he can live anywhere in the state. The end game, violence against Joseph Lowry. Let's be brutally clear. The ultimate goal of these people is to incite someone unstable enough to take a shot at me, Joseph Lowry. That's the end game. To take a shot at me, Joseph Lowry. That's the end game. All right. Mayor Bell has everything he needs to sue you into oblivion, right? You've admitted that it's you talking. You've defamed him in every way possible, and you're wrong about the law. He is a state office holder, right? All he has to do is be a resident of the state. He doesn't have to live in that city during his term or whatever, right? He's a state office holder, just like a senator. Dumbass. A person elected as a state senator in California is a state office holder. They're responsible for creating and voting on state laws. A mayor of a small town in Texas is also considered a state office holder, managing local governance and public services. Hypothetical example. You see what I'm saying? He's not like you, who has to have a residence there, or the other councilman. The mayor is like a senator in that respect. You're a fucking moron, and I hope this dude sues the fucking titties off of you, and I hope you go broke and you have to beg for money with your ugly girlfriend. That's what I hope for. Yes, here we are. Some people think all public officials are state office holders. However, this term specifically refers to elected or appointed individuals in state or local government. There is a misconception that state office holders have the same powers as elected officials. In reality, their authority is limited to the state jurisdiction. Not the city, the state jurisdiction. There's no weaseling your way out of this, Joseph Lowry, because you made these allegations with a reckless disregard for the truth, because there's nothing in the city charter that says the mayor has to live within the city during the time he gets elected or whatever. There's nothing that says that. Maybe your dumbass could have confused it for the word council members, but if you're too stupid to tell between the word mayor and council members and you can't differentiate between the two, then you're too stupid to hold a public office, right? So you've recklessly disregarded the truth and used your news channel, something that something that the people should feel confident in, something that has an obligation, or better yet, a duty to tell the truth. You disregarded that truth so you can print what you wanted to, which are these libelous statements right here. I mean, look how bad this is. Now, defamation. The website is subject to defamation laws, which are stricter for news outlets reporting on public figures. An elected official's news site could be sued for libel if it publishes false information that damages someone's reputation. Not only is what the information that Joseph Lowry has posted is false, I mean, but there's actually, he uses evidence, actual documents from Mayor Bell to prove his falsehood, to prove to us his falsehood, to show us false evidence. So he's presenting false evidence as well as having a false, just completely negligent claim of some kind of fraud. Anybody think this would be damaging to somebody's reputation to be on this website that's called Lowry's News Network and have your divorce papers, your petition for your divorce on there, and then also have your lease agreement and your driver's license, and then claim that you don't live in the city where you're the mayor, right? That alone, without any accusations, is just damaging to a reputation. But it's damaging, and it's damaging because it's false. Wouldn't that suck for whoever decided to put out this false information on Lowry's News Network, Joseph Lowry? Like, for example, if somebody falsely stated that him having a residence somewhere else is fraud and that it is a violation of the city charter and cannot be, I agree, it cannot be ignored. But let's look at the charter and see what it says. First, we need to write this down. So he's a crooked mayor, and that Shelley's law firm has been covering for Bell his criminal enterprise, and he's pocketing fat kickbacks from taxpayers, and he's a pathological liar and a crook. I mean, to me, that's obvious. It's libel, slander, defamation. It's all of them. But I think those are fighting words. I would punch a motherfucker if they were saying that shit about me, especially if they were wrong. before you get your panties all in a bunch and just go off believing me or whatnot, let's make sure that it's you writing this because, I mean, this is a website and you keep talking about these independent news sources and independent citizens and whatnot. So, how can we be sure that the person narrating this is Joseph Lowry saying all these facts about all these people, all these defaming facts, right? How could we know that it's you? Oh, there it is. It says me, Joseph Lowry. Take a shot at me, Joseph Lowry. Now, there's two reasons that I hope that the mayor, well, three reasons I hope the mayor sues the fucking balls off of you. Number one, because you deserve it and you're a fat, gluttonous piece of crap, dude, and you shouldn't be able to terrorize people like this using your government position to do so. Number two is there is no case law on anything like this because nobody throughout the history of the world has been stupid enough to be a council member and also duly own a news network and name it after themselves and use that network to specifically defame the people that he sits on council with. So that's number two. And number three is it would just be satisfying to watch you, have a judge gavel you down and sentence you to fucking anything. Speaking of case law and stuff like that, let's see what the standard is for a libel suit. The most significant Supreme Court decision regarding news agencies lying is New York Times Company v. Sullivan, which established a high bar for proving libel against public figures. The court ruled that the public officials cannot recover damages for defamatory falsehoods unless they prove the statement was made with actual malice, with knowledge that it was false or reckless disregard for whether it was false or not, which is abundantly clear in this case that you have a complete disregard for the actual truth when all you had to do was type in one word on Google and hit enter and then read what it said, right? That is a reckless disregard for the actual truth when the truth is at your fingertips. Also, the truth is also within your charter, which you have obviously read and can't deny that you read it because you used the charter. You cited the charter as the reason for the mayor being the one that supposedly, allegedly violated it, right? So you can't. All right, I'm going to try to explain this one more time, Joseph. Separation of duties. An official must avoid mixing their public duties with their private business. For example, using city resources, staff, or facilities for the benefit of a private media company is generally prohibited. Official and personal social media accounts must be kept separate to prevent the misuse of official platforms. Now, just real quickly, we already know Joseph is going to say, well, it's not social media. Exactly. It's actual media. Who paid for that website is what we need to be asking. Where did he get the funds for that website? Who is the webmaster? And how much did he pay? And where's the receipt? Those are the first things that need to be asked. And you don't just buy a website like a one-time fee. It's either monthly or yearly. So this is going to be a continuing cost that we know Joseph is not going to be able to pay because he's horrible with money, like the $50,000 that he embezzled. But whatever. Anyhow, I was listening to this podcast and it was really interesting because I heard a familiar name.
Influential local government podcast in America. And with me today is Haley Winkleman. She is a resident of the city of Lamarck, Texas. It's located in Galveston County, just outside of Houston. And the last couple of weeks, I've been spotlighting Lamarck, Texas, because we've had some wild stuff unfolding there. Most notably, from our perspective, the former city manager has been arrested on arson and stolen valor charges. His name is J.B. Pritchett. And the precursor to that is that we have a council member by the name of Joseph Lowry, who's been a provocateur, stirring stuff up. He's just really a controversial individual. He's attacking a lot of local elected officials and government employees, calling them corrupt or even criminals or leading criminal enterprises. And during my interview with TJ Alls, a reporter with I-45 Now, he broke down the Lowry shenanigans. And in that call, in that interview, he informed me that Haley was leading a recall effort to recall Joseph Lowry. And then shortly after that interview was published, I learned that the recall effort had fallen short by just 8 signatures. And so I wanted to bring Haley onto the show to talk about Joseph Lowry, her efforts to recall him, and give you guys a better sense of what's going on in Lamarck. So Haley, welcome to the program. Can you quickly introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. My name is Haley. I'm a mom of 2 that lives here in Lamarck. Currently a stay-at-home mom, but I'm getting ready to start law school soon. And I've been the proponent of a recall petition for the controversial councilman, Joseph Lowry.
How did Joseph Lowry even first get on your radar? How did they even come onto your? I mean, why is a stay-at-home mama too getting involved in local politics to recall an elected official?
So it was actually a meme that he made on Facebook that someone shared that I saw that I found major issue with. It was a depiction of a red and or a blue king costume. He said, "Which one should I wear for my first day of as king of the city council?" He didn't want to cause any problems.
And what does that mean by that? Is that because of the Democrat Republican blue red divide in Lamarck, or why? What's that about?
I wish it were. It is due to the Blood and the Crips gangs. We are a predominantly African American community.
So he was totally trying to do some race baiting with that in terms of stirring up animus within the community. By
Absolutely. His
Okay.
whole goal from the start has been to create chaos and stir up animosity.
Now, before we get into, I want to quickly note something because last week we have some breaking news, and that is that there was a protection order filed by Joseph Lowry's ex-wife in the state of Washington last week. I guess the judge ruled on it, and so before we get into that, and I want to dissect this in more detail later in the interview. Can you quickly tell us what's going on with that protective order? Because that's literally breaking news that hasn't even been covered in the local media yet, shockingly.
Yes, I sure can. So, this is a protective order filed by his ex wife, like you said, in Washington state. The details of this order are absolutely horrific. This is the stuff of, people's worst nightmares.
Right.
And this order, it is valid for 5 years. It does restrict his access to weapons. And some of the things that are said in here are just, like I said, horrific.
Yeah, Haley, we'll unpack that in a minute, Haley. But why hasn't the local media picked up on this? This is literally was entered into a judgment order on the 24th of July. Do you have any explanation for why it hasn't been covered? I mean, these are some serious allegations that the court has basically put into this judgment order, and I mean, it's horrific, like you said. I mean,
vehemently slanders the people. None of them has ever even truly heard a bullet whistle by, not even a single one.
I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that maybe people don't want to say anything about the protective order because they might need to get one of their own after they say something. He's said that his guns and weapons are restricted, yet he still goes all over social media and shows that he has a bunch of guns and killdozers and whatnot. So it might be a little intimidating, you know what I mean? Oh, this says... I'm asking for protection. I have been tracked, harassed on social media. He's a threat to me. My prior to this request, Superior Court in 2009, domestic violence, Pierce case number, blah, 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 Tacoma Municipal, blah, blah, blah. Says he will use his resources, use of control. Unfortunately, his family, Joe, has 3 brothers, Josh Lowry, Jacob Lowry, Jonathan Lowry, Jeremy, and Jason, and in-laws near my location. He uses family and manipulates him to get his way. My whereabouts, my specific identity, concerns with his use of force, past trauma leaves me in fear. Joe would threaten me with a rifle, BB guns, fake decoy to display a use of force, say if I run, I will die. If I got out to the door, I will be forced to tie you up and keep you from running, pointing the weapon at or near me.
People, none of them has ever even truly heard a bullet whistle by, not even a single one.
What Joseph is trying to point out here, I'm sorry. What Hitler is trying to point out here is that, since I've never shot anybody, how much damage can a gun do? You know what I mean? So, come on, you know what I mean? You can point it at somebody, tell them it's loaded. You can fucking scare the balls off of them just as if it was, you know what I mean, without actually shooting a bullet, right? So Lowry's, all his defenses are, well, at least, I didn't actually do anything. No harm actually came. That's absolute bullshit. He's got everybody just as afraid as Hitler did to the world, right? Except Joseph hopefully will be arrested before 6 million bodies pile up.
In these 9 months, I have not taken a single measure that could have offended anyone, that could have hurt another statesman, or that could have injured another nation. Not a single word has been spoken by us that they could possibly interpret as slander, as a slight, or in any way as something that concerns or affects them. On the contrary, during these 9 months, I have always stated that people should simply act reasonably and not allow themselves to be incited against each other by this small international clique.